noble consort Suan murdered the imperial heir, and on the very day she was executed with a cup of poisoned wine, my husband killed himself too. He even left a note in his study, "In death, we share the same day." It wasn't until I finished sorting through his effects that I realized he and Suan had been in love for years. All the kindness and doting he showed me over the years was just to use my family's power and status to pave the way for Suan. The hidden compartment in the study was stacked full of Suan's portraits and his longing. And after I devoted my whole heart to him for so many years, all he left me with was the grave crime of having my home raided. Reborn in this life, I looked at the young boy and girl under the peach blossom tree and sneered. In this life, I'll make you die on the same day, nice and early. When the palace guards arrived at the Prime Minister's estate, I was in the middle of dismembering a body. An hour ago, I made some soup and came to find my husband, and Jingchu, Anyang, who usually guards the study door, was nowhere to be seen. After calling out twice and hearing no response, I hesitantly pushed open the study door. Then I saw a scene I never wanted to see in my life. Fresh blood spread across half the table, and Jingchu lay slumped on the table, nothing left of him, a smile on the corner of his lips. I clutched my pounding heart, and before I could even scream, I was stunned by the room full of portraits. Portraits of varying sizes, depicting the same woman. The women had shapely figures, standing or sitting, ranging from youthful innocence to seductive maturity, depicted vividly. Annyeong could see the deep affection the artist held for the woman in the scroll. I recognized at a glance that the woman in the painting was Suan, a favored consort whose beauty had been unrivaled in the capital for over 10 years. Just this morning, news came from the palace that Suan had harmed an imperial heir, and was granted death by the emperor with a cup of poisoned wine. I knew Suan and Njingchu were relatives, and fearing Njingchu would be heartbroken, I specially stewed soup and came to comfort him. Unexpectedly, I didn't see his heart break, but instead witnessed his secret. Pressed under Njingchu's arm was a piece of paper. The 4 characters written not long ago were mixed with fresh blood, a shocking sight. Die on the same day. I laughed bitterly. So, that is it. And Jingchu once said that he and Suan were cousins, and because they were born in the same year, month, and day, they were a bit closer. Now, they are even closer. "Madam, why are you here, your subordinate, master?" And Yang hurried over, looking shocked. When he saw those 4 words pressed under Jingchu's arm, a look of understanding flashed in his eyes. "You knew all along." I stared into Anyang's eyes. Anyang was silent for 2 seconds. The master and her ladyship grew up together as childhood sweethearts. Their bond is extraordinary. I felt nothing but sorrow. Then what about me? I stayed by his side for 10 years, helping him grow from a destitute nobody into the all-powerful prime minister. I bore him a son and a daughter, raising them to be both proper and bright. I worked hard managing the household, winning people over for him, and never let him worry about money. In the end, he killed himself for a childhood sweetheart, abandoning me and the children. It is simply ridiculous. I rummaged through this small study almost obsessively and frantically, trying to find a tiny scrap of something about me and the 2 kids. As if this could comfort me, that this man still had us in his heart. Finally, inside a secret compartment, I found a few scraps of words about us. It is just getting even more ridiculous. That thick stack in the secret compartment was all letters between him and Suan. They expressed their deep affection and longing for each other in the letters. And as for me and the child, he said, Aoshi is Duke Dingguo's legitimate daughter, naive and easy to fool. Life in the palace is hard. I must secure a high position to be able to have your back. Having a child with her was just to shut everyone up. My heart belongs to the bright moon. You should know that. If you are willing to run away with me, this high rank, wealth, wife, and children mean nothing. I closed my eyes, struggling to fight off the dizziness. I see. He married me because of my family background, and because I was easy to fool. Me and the 2 children are nothing but filthy things he can toss aside whenever he wants. Good, really good. I composed myself, opened my eyes, and met Anyang's sympathetic gaze again. What else is there? Tell me everything. Anyang sighed. The troops the noble consort used to harm the little imperial grandson were arranged by the master. In an instant, I felt dizzy, and the hatred for Suwan and Njingchu shot straight to the top of my head. Njingchu, with bloodshot eyes. I pulled the short blade out of Njingchu's neck and stabbed him repeatedly. Harming an imperial heir isn't just a capital crime. It is a capital crime that brings collective punishment. No wonder Anyang was willing to tell me these secrets. Because the entire Prime Minister's estate is doomed. And Jingchu doesn't just want to die for love himself. He wants to drag all our lives down with him. He deserves to die. He deserves to die. But even if I tore Jingchu into 10,000 pieces, it couldn't stop the Imperial Guard's advance. Miss, it is young Master An. The carriage suddenly stopped. I lifted the curtain and looked towards the person at the door, and Jingchu's tall, slender figure stood at the entrance of the Prime Minister's manor. Though clad in ordinary blue hemp robes, he appeared as noble as a jade tree, his aura striking. Quite a few young ladies and maids living nearby were secretly looking over. This was the first time I saw Jingchu since my rebirth. In my past life, Jingchu committed suicide, causing the entire Prime Minister's estate to be brutally slaughtered by the Imperial Guards. My son and daughter stopped breathing right before my eyes. I hate Jingchu. After coming back via rebirth half a month ago, I wished I could immediately hack him and Suwan into 10,000 pieces. But I can't. Jingchu has already become the top scholar and been given an official post. Besides, killing him outright like this would be letting him off way too easy. Young Master N, do you need something? Jingchu paused, bowed with clasped hands, his face showing a hint of concern. I heard that Miss Chow was unwell. I was somewhat worried, so I came specifically to visit. I didn't say a word. My dad is the head of the civil officials. Besides holding a key position in the court, his literary talent is also highly revered by scholars and poets. Around the time of the imperial exams, scholars from all over enter the capital, and most will send their proudest poems and essays to the residences of civil officials they admire to recommend themselves. Jingchu also handed a piece of poetry to my dad. After seeing it, my father was full of praise. After Jingchu became the top scholar, my father, out of appreciation for his talent, once invited him to the manor for a drink. That was when I met him. Since then, he would visit from time to time. Ostensibly, it was to discuss scholarly matters with my father. But in reality, anyone with eyes knew his true interest lay elsewhere. Over time, the noble families of the capital all said that the Prime Minister's legitimate daughter and the top scholar were going to tie the knot. In my past life, I was deceived by Jingchu. Faced with such rumors, I was only focused on being shy, so naturally, I didn't think anything else of it. Now, however, I realize that those rumors must have been spread by Jingchu himself. In the half-month since my rebirth, Jingchu has visited repeatedly, but I refuse to see guests. He is probably getting anxious, so today he deliberately blocked the entrance. Thank you for your kindness, young Master An, but I am fine now. I got off the carriage and walked past him toward the residence. Wait, Jingchu suddenly stopped me and handed over a bundle he was holding. I heard Miss Chow likes osmanthus cakes from the South City. I just went to buy this, and it is still warm. I hope Miss Chow won't mind. I glanced at the box, then looked at the nervous-looking Jingchu, and the corners of my mouth curled up slightly. Thanks for the trouble. Before Jingchu could breathe a sigh of relief, I signaled the maid with my eyes. Shanger. Shanger took the hint, took out a pouch, poured out a string of copper coins, and handed them to Jingchu. Lord N. 46 Wen, right? Jingchu looked incredulous and took a step back. Miss Chow, you, just take it. It wouldn't be right to take Lord N's things for nothing. I paused, then added, Lorden personally queued up to buy and deliver this, so there should be a little extra for his trouble. Shanger add another 10 wen. And Jingchu's face went slightly pale, his fingers clenching tight. I turned around and left. Seeing this, Shanger stuffed the copper coins into Jingchu's arms and quickly caught up with me. Miss, what should I do with this osmanthus cake? Throw it away? Yes. As the gates of the Prime Minister's estate closed, I turned my head slightly and saw Jingchu still standing there, looking hurt, and at his feet, osmanthus cakes lay scattered all over the ground. The people living around the Prime Minister's manor are all high officials and nobles, so they are the most well-informed. It hadn't even been 2 hours since I embarrassed Jingchu, and half the powerful families in the capital already knew. After my dad came home, he couldn't help but ask me, "Didn't you think that kid was pretty good just the other day? How come you are ignoring him now?" There was nothing to hide from my dad. I told him straight out that Jingchu has a cousin, and the two of them had long since pledged their love to each other. After hearing this, my dad's face darkened, and he remained silent for a long while. Finally, he sighed. I was the one who misjudged him. My mom died early, and my dad is a devoted man. These years he has thrown himself into court politics, never taking a wife or a concubine. The Prime Minister has no sons, so even though his power dominates the court, the royal family feels safe using him. And as my dad's only daughter, ever since I was 13, noble families have been coming to our door to propose marriage. Me dad felt that if he was gone one day, I wouldn't have a family to back me up, so he was extremely cautious about my marriage. He originally thought Jingchu was a man of excellent character, but who knew, he was just really good at hiding his true colors. Forget it, he is just a guy from a humble family anyway. To be so scheming, he is probably not a man of high virtue either. Dad will look around for you again. I'll definitely find you a good one. I smiled, feeling a bit of heartache as I looked at my father's graying temples. He was deeply devoted his whole life. If it weren't for me, he would have followed my mother long ago. In my last life, I got pregnant in the 2nd year of my marriage to Jingchu. Not long after the child was born, father passed away with a smile. He trusted Jingchu so much that right up to his death, he believed he would treat his daughter well for her whole life. He died without regrets, yet he failed to see through Jingchu's sinister intentions. I poured my dad a cup of water and comforted him. I am still young and want to stay with you for a few more years. Dad, don't worry. If I really can't find a good one, at worst I'll recruit a live-in son-in-law. My dad scolded with a laugh. Nonsense. What decent man would be willing to become a live-in son-in-law? Then I'll find a man who isn't that good. I am not picky about anything else, as long as his looks and character are passable. At worst, I'll ditch the father and keep the child, and they can still inherit our Chow family line. My dad was speechless hearing my shocking words. He paused for a long while, then raised his hand to knock my head. Suddenly, a burst of clamor came from outside. What is going on? My heart stirred slightly. Perhaps the Imperial decree has arrived. Imperial decree? Why would there be an Imperial decree? As soon as the words fell, the Imperial decree came through the door. Along with the Imperial decree came countless gold, silver, jewels, and precious ornaments. My dad dragged me to my knees to listen to the Imperial decree, and only then did I realize what was going on. You saved Princess Jopping? Yes, I saved Princess Jopping. Princess Jopping was born to the Empress. She is the Crown Prince's own sister, as well as the Emperor's most beloved youngest daughter. In the previous life, 8-year-old Princess Jopping left the palace to play with the Crown Prince, but due to his negligence, she was abducted by human traffickers. By the time the Imperial guards found her, Princess Jopping had already been killed. Because of this, the Emperor took his anger out on the Crown Prince, and the Empress fell gravely ill. Suwon took advantage of this time to enter the palace. In the half-month since my rebirth, I've been having people secretly watch the Crown Prince's movements. After learning that the crown prince took Princess Jopping out of the palace today, I knew my chance had come. Sure enough, I saved Princess Jopping. That night, rewards from the Emperor, Empress, and Crown Prince were sent to the Prime Minister's manor in an endless stream, and along with them came an invitation to the 100 Flowers banquet. This 100 Flowers banquet was originally meant to select consorts for the 3 princes who had come of age, widely inviting noble ladies and young talents. In the previous life, when the 100 Flowers banquet was held, Princess Jopping had just passed away, and the Empress was bedridden with illness, so the Empress Dowager was the one presiding over it. Suwon barely managed to squeeze her way into the 100 Flowers banquet as Jingchu's cousin. She wasn't chosen by any of the princes, but instead ran into the Emperor drinking alone in the garden. One was drunk, the other scheming, and the two clicked. This 100 Flowers banquet didn't produce a prince's consort, but instead produced a noble consort, Suwon, who would later become the most favored in the 6 palaces. Now that Princess Jopping is alive and well, and the Empress is personally presiding over the 100 Flowers banquet, I wonder if Suwon still has that kind of good luck. The 100 Flowers banquet was held at the royal villa on the outskirts of the capital. I went quite early. As soon as I arrived at the villa entrance, I saw the matron by the Empress's side coming up to welcome me, her face full of smiles. When I arrived, Princess Jopping and the Crown Prince were also there. The Empress looked kind, and with a smile on her face, she affectionately held my hand and spoke to me. "You poor dear, your mother passed away early, and Prime Minister Chow is busy with state affairs all day, so there is no one to take you out. I've forgotten how many years it has been since I last saw you, and now you have actually become such a lovely young lady. My dad is an upright man, and he didn't want me getting dragged into royal infighting or being used by others, so he has never been willing to let me attend royal banquets, let alone the 100 Flowers banquet meant for finding matches for the princes. Because of that, I didn't attend this banquet in my last life. The last time I saw the Empress was actually back at the New Year's Eve palace banquet when I was 10. The Empress looked me over carefully, appearing more and more satisfied. Then she asked about my marriage prospects, whether I was promised to anyone, if I had a sweetheart, and things like that. After hearing my bashful denial, her smile deepened. Her expression grew even softer, and she cast a subtle glance at the Crown Prince, sitting upright nearby. Prime Minister Chow only has you as a daughter, so he surely couldn't bear for you to suffer. Marriage is a major life event, not child's play, and indeed requires careful consideration. It just so happens there are many talented and handsome young men at the banquet today, so you should take a good look. I pretended not to understand, stammering as I lowered my head. Soon, titled, "Ladies came to pay their respects," and the Empress waved her hand to let us leave. She also specifically instructed the Crown Prince. "It is Miss Chow's first time visiting this villa. Crown Prince, you take her around for a good look, and be sure not to slight her." The Crown Prince lowered his head and agreed. After walking out the door, he bent slightly and bowed to me. "I have not yet thanked Miss Chow for the incident with Jopping that day." I stepped aside. "Your Highness need not be so polite. It was merely a small effort. To you, Miss Chow, it was a mere lifting of a hand, but to me and my Imperial father and mother, it was a major event. If you need help with anything in the future, Miss Chow, just feel free to ask me." I looked at the Crown Prince's earnest eyes and scoffed internally. Intelligent as he is, he must have seen the Empress's intentions too. It is just that his heart is already taken, so he is afraid I'll use this favor to demand to marry him. Having witnessed the deep love between the Crown Prince and the future Crown Princess in my past life, naturally I wouldn't try to stick a foot in. However, using this to latch onto the Crown Prince is possible. I made a show of pondering for a moment. "There is indeed something I'd like to ask for your Highness's help with." The Crown Prince paused. "Miss Chow, please speak. I have 2 clan brothers who are somewhat capable, but luck hasn't been on their side. Unfortunately, Their nature is just like my father's, rigidly upright, pedantic, and unwilling to bow their heads. I truly couldn't bear to see their years of hard study go to waste without a chance to serve the court. So I've been so bold as to ask your highness. It is just recommending 2 people. No big deal. Besides, my father has never taken sides and forbids anyone in the clan from getting too involved with the princes. My words not only told the crown prince that I wouldn't use this favor to force a marriage into the Eastern Palace, but also revealed that the Chow family intends to stand on his side. Sure enough, the crown prince looked delighted and agreed. The crown prince was busy, and someone soon came looking for him. He left 2 guards and a few maids for protection, so I held Princess Jopping's hand and strolled around the garden. Princess Jopping is very attached to me. She chattered on non-stop the whole way, talking about the nice new things she'd gotten recently, and then saying how she was so scared that day, she nearly thought she was going to die. I comforted her while walking casually, acting as if it was really my first time here. As we reached a secluded spot, a rustling sound suddenly came from up ahead. Princess Jopping and I exchanged a look and halted our steps. Then, sentence after sentence drifted over on the wind. Brother Jing Wanner knows she owes you a great deal, but the vengeance for my mother's murder cannot be left unavenged. In this life, let us just consider that we were fated to meet, but not destined to be together. In the next life, Wanner will definitely repay your kindness. Under the peach blossom tree, Suwon looked as frail as a willow in the wind, crying uncontrollably. Teardrops fell in strings down her exquisite little face, a sight that would make anyone's heart ache. Does it really have to be this way? Wait for me. Wait another 5 years. No, 3 years. In 3 years, I'll definitely be able to help you take revenge. Suwon shook her head. It is impossible. The Wang family dominates the entire court. Besides the emperor, no one can help me. If the Wang family finds out about my existence, they'll kill me, and then Brother Jing will be implicated too. Brother Jing, if you want to blame someone, just blame me. The beauty shed tears, looking so pitiful and endearing, and Jingchu kissed her gently, his heart aching for her. How could I blame you? It is my fault. I am useless. I couldn't help you take revenge, causing a weak woman like you to have to plot these things. Wanner, I am useless. No, Brother Jing is the person who treats Wanner best in this world. In Wanner's heart, Brother Jing is the most amazing person, and Jingchu was moved even more. Unable to restrain himself, he kissed the teardrops on Suwon's face, completely disregarding that this was the Empress's garden. I sneered inwardly. In my last life, this scene was written by Jingchu in a love letter to Suwon, saying this was the happiest and also the saddest day of his life. The happy part was that he kissed his heart's true love, but the sad part was that he sent her to the emperor's side with his own hands. He even wrote down the location of their tryst that day in detail in his heart. It'd be hard for me not to find it, making sure the palace servants and guards nearby saw it too. I feigned embarrassment, covered Princess Jopping's eyes, and walked away. Only after turning down a small path did I let go. Princess Jopping widened her eyes. Sister Chow, did that count as illicit intimacy? I suppose, but young master and that girl are still young. It is understandable that they couldn't help themselves when the feeling is mutual. Princess Jopping curled her lips. Sister Chow, you are just too kind. The teacher says feelings should start with emotion, but stop at propriety. Even if he couldn't control his passion, he shouldn't be so indecent here. I smiled and didn't say anything. Princess Jopping shook her head, acting like a little adult, and spoke again. Father Emperor even said that although top scorer Anne comes from a humble family, he is upright and observes propriety. Looking at him now, he is really nothing special. But who is that woman? How come I haven't heard of her? She even has a feud with the Wang family. Which Wang family? Princess Jopping couldn't figure it out, and I didn't drop any hints, so she went to ask the Empress. Unexpectedly, the Empress's expression instantly changed. There are quite a few powerful nobles named Wang in the current dynasty, but the only ones who can be said to dominate the court and country, whom only the emperor can hold in check, are the Empress's maternal family, the Duke of Dingguo's household. The Empress immediately sent someone to investigate. The person sent to investigate hadn't returned yet, but the time for the 100 Flowers banquet arrived first. The Empress took me and Princess Jopping along to the banquet garden. There were quite a few noblewomen and young men and women present, and all sorts of scrutinizing and suspicious gazes were directed at me. I knew that most of these young women were here for the crown prince. Appearing together with the Empress naturally drew everyone's eyes. The Empress said a few pleasantries, then raised her hand to let the other young men and women go off and amuse themselves. I didn't go, but stayed by the Empress's side to play with Princess Jopping. In the eyes of bystanders, however, this sparked a whole different kind of speculation. I silently counted the time in my mind. I went to the changing room halfway through, and just as I came out, I was stopped by someone. It was none other than Jingchu, young Master An. I nodded politely and was about to leave. Jingchu suddenly grabbed my sleeve. He hesitated, pausing for a moment. "Miss Chow, do you like the crown prince?" Naturally, the crown prince is wise and mighty, and has the bearing of an heir. All the women in the world like the crown prince. I said calmly, "I not only like the crown prince, I also like his majesty, her highness, and everyone who serves the country and the people." And Jingchu was rendered speechless for a moment. "That is not what I meant." "Then does Lord An mean that you don't like the crown prince?" And Jingchu pursed his lips, and just as I was getting impatient and about to leave, he finally said, "Miss Chow, you have a simple nature, and Prime Minister Chow is upright and honest. Since ancient times, the Deep Palace has been full of strife. You really shouldn't step into this quagmire." I chuckled softly, looking him up and down. "Lord An, it is not your place to worry about the Chow family's affairs. Besides, recklessly discussing the royal family is a beheading offense." I made a throat-slitting gesture, and after watching with satisfaction as Jingchu's face turned pale, I turned around and left. Today the villa is crowded and chaotic, and quite a few Imperial guards from the palace have arrived, so it was already stricter than usual. After Princess Jopping told the Empress about Jingchu and Suwan's illicit affair, the people sent by the Empress have been watching them. How could they not hear what he said? Right now, who knows where people are hiding in this garden? I returned to my seat, and in less than the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, a palace servant came rushing to the Empress's side, leaned down, and whispered something in her ear. The Empress immediately looked furious. She stood up to walk out, but then, as if she thought of something, she turned back to look at Jopping and me, and waved her hand for us to follow. Jopping didn't know what was going on, but she listened to her Imperial mother. A mighty group of us rounded a bamboo grove and entered a small courtyard. As soon as she walked in, she saw a middle-aged man in a purple robe leaning on a chair under a tree. His robe was wide open. He was completely drunk, and his face had an unnatural flush. To the side sat a woman with disheveled clothes, who was currently pressing herself against the Emperor. The Empress's sudden intrusion made the woman look over immediately. Her tear-stained face was so lovely and pitiful, it truly made one feel sympathy just looking at her. The Emperor lifted his head slightly, looking over with sleepy eyes. When he saw the Empress, his gaze held a hint of impatience. Yet he still lazily rose and tidied his clothes. "Isn't the Empress in the front courtyard? What are you doing here?" Before the Empress could speak, Princess Jopping tilted her head to look at Suwan. "Huh, you look very familiar." "Ah, I remember now. You are the woman who was secretly carrying on with Top Scholar and in the garden." Suwan's face went pale. The Emperor also sobered up a bit, frowning. "What did you say?" Jopping ran thump into the Emperor's arms, tilted her head to look closely at Suwan, and finally nodded with certainty. "Father Emperor, I wasn't mistaken. It is her. Earlier, when I was strolling in the garden with Sister Chow, I saw the two of them kissing and hugging. They even said something about seeking revenge on the Wang family for killing their mother, and that only Father Emperor could make the decision. I wanted to get to the bottom of it, but Sister Chow said, "See no evil," and covered my eyes so I couldn't look, so I didn't even get the chance to ask. She ignored Su Wan, who had instantly slumped to her knees, and craned her neck to keep asking, "Didn't you want to see Father Emperor? Father Emperor is right here now. Whatever vengeance for your mother's murder, which Wang family, you can ask Father Emperor to serve justice for you now. He is the biggest official, you know." Suwan didn't speak. She lowered her head and sobbed audibly. The Emperor narrowed his eyes, staring tightly at her. For someone like him, how could he not guess that this romantic encounter today was nothing but a carefully calculated scheme? Suwan was indeed beautiful, and she satisfied him. But if he wanted beauties, the world was full of them. However, Imperial authority could not be challenged. He waved his hand, ordering people to investigate. With the help of the Crown Prince and the Empress's people, the Emperor soon got to the bottom of it. And Jingchu is currently an Imperial attendant. He took advantage of the Emperor's trust and his position to leak the Emperor's whereabouts to Suwan, helping her successfully make her way to this secluded garden to get close to the Emperor. Even the Emperor getting drunk was part of Jingchu's scheme. After listening to this, I marveled once again at Jingchu's audacity and his deep affection for Suwan. But when I think about how he could even harm Imperial heirs for Suwan in his past life, this really isn't anything strange. And Jingchu was quickly brought over, after seeing a courtyard full of nobles and Suwan prostrating on the ground, crying until she was nearly out of breath. He immediately understood what was going on. He knelt directly on the ground, hands prostrated on the ground. "Your subject is guilty," the Emperor sneered. "What crime? Lord An, let's hear it." And Jingchu took all the blame upon himself. He just said that he himself harbored ill intentions and coveted power, so he wanted to present a beauty to the Emperor's harem. The Empress said coolly, "Oh, how come I heard that this Suwan has a blood feud with the Wang family over her mother's murder? I wonder which Wang family it is, and what sort of feud it is that could make a pair of lovebirds like you willing to separate just to enter the palace and seek justice." And Jingchu lowered his head and said nothing, while Suwan just kept crying. But if the royal family really wanted to investigate, it would be quite simple. Very soon, Suwan's background was thoroughly investigated. Her birth mother was the Duke's wife's maid, but she took advantage of the Duke's wife's pregnancy to climb into bed, betraying the Duke's wife. In a fit of anger, the Duke's wife found a human trafficker to sell her off. After that maid seized the opportunity to escape, she discovered she was pregnant. She gave birth to the child, determined to take the child back to the capital to seek some respectability. But because the child was too young, the journey far, and she had no money, she was delayed for quite a few years. In the end, she passed away on the journey back to the capital. The year Suwan was 8. After the maidservant died, Suwan was saved by Jingchu's mother and raised in their home. One time, she happened to see the procession of the Duke of Dinggua's female relatives passing by on the street, heading home for a visit. She was seized by jealousy, feeling that even though they were all daughters of the Wang family, she was stuck eating chaff and swallowing vegetables. From then on, hatred grew in her heart, and she swore to live a life above all others and trample the Wang family under her feet. So, she lied to Jingchu, claiming she had an irreconcilable feud with the Wang family, and even said her mother was killed by them. And Jingchu felt pity for her and believed it without a doubt, willing to plan everything for her sake. A maidservant has slave status, and being sold off by the mistress of the house follows the law, so there is actually nothing wrong with it. On the contrary, escaping while under slave status, along with Suwan and Jingchu plotting against the Emperor, constitutes a much graver crime. The Empress and I were both waiting for the Emperor to punish the two of them, but unexpectedly, the Emperor chose to smooth things over. She is of the Duke's bloodline after all. It really wasn't right for her to end up like this. This matter was just a misunderstanding, and now that it is cleared up, isn't everything fine? Official N, you have outstanding talent and learning, and you were simply deceived. I cherish talent, so I won't hold this against you this time. And Jingchu and Suwan were both dumbfounded, looking up at the emperor in a daze. The emperor smiled, staring at the two with a slightly deep and unreadable look in his eyes. A gentleman helps others fulfill their wishes. You two can be considered a pair of ill-fated lovebirds. I'll play the good guy to the end today and grant you a marriage. I noticed the way the emperor looked at Suwan, and my heart stirred slightly. The emperor has taken a fancy to Suwan. An Jingchu has been promoted. It is just that this position, though higher in rank, was a move from the emperor's presence to a sinecure promoted in name, but demoted in reality. But he is about to marry a lovely wife, and she is the young lady the Duke of Dingguo's manor just brought back. With the Duke of Dingguo's manor as a big tree to lean on in the future, his prospects are boundless. The officials, not knowing the reason, all offered their congratulations. On the day Jingchu and Suwan got married, there wasn't a single empty seat in the courtyard. Even the emperor went in person. My dad went too. It is just that when he came back, his expression was a bit off. I served a cup of sobering tea. Dad, what is the matter? And Jingchu didn't seem too happy today. Of the 4 great joys in life, he claimed both a promotion and a wife today, so how could he be unhappy? Others couldn't figure it out. I had a faint suspicion in my heart. This emperor was considered a wise ruler in his youth, but now that he is aged, he has become a bit senile. In the previous life, because of the exclusive favor shown to Suwan, plenty of absurd things were done, causing the court atmosphere to be at daggers drawn and creating discord between the emperor and empress. Otherwise, Suwan wouldn't have had the guts to poison the imperial eldest grandson. Although I didn't deal with court politics, after my father died in order to help Jingchu rise in rank, I also navigated the connections my father left behind, so I know a bit of what I ought to know. No, looking at past events with these memories. Naturally, I can foresee quite a lot. I use these memories to give some pointers to my 2 older clan cousins. These 2 clan cousins have already entered the Crown Prince's camp, and with my pointers, they are being increasingly valued by the Crown Prince. Me dad didn't notice at first, but later he discovered that my 2 clan cousins were frequently coming to the manor. After inquiring about the details, he specifically sought me out for a heart-to-heart. The royal family is full of infighting. Now that the princes are all grown up, I am afraid there won't be a moment's peace. Shishi, our family has always been neutral. We shouldn't get mixed up in this. I used to think my dad was right to be a pure minister, wholeheartedly working for the people. But the fact remains, in my past life, after he passed away, everyone turned their backs. The royal family had long forgotten him, and those court officials didn't dare say a single word for me and the children. When the Imperial Guards came to raid the house, no one remembered that I was once the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's manor. They only knew I was the wife of the criminal official, and Jingchu. It was useless, even when I brought out the death exemption medallion my father left behind when he died, because the Imperial Guards didn't recognize it at all. Or rather, the Emperor didn't recognize it. It was all because my Chow family no longer had a big tree to lean on. We had lost our value. The whole mansion was covered in blood, yet no one cared. Only when it got dark did someone from the clan hurry over to collect the bodies of my children and me. Father served as an official solely for the realm, but I must ensure the Chow family holds power. That way, even if the events of my past life repeat themselves, the royal family will have to weigh the Chow family's importance and show some leniency. The internal strife within the imperial family is indeed terrifying, but it is still much better than having no one to help when trouble strikes. Naturally, I couldn't say any of this to my dad. I simply analyzed the pros and cons of getting entangled in imperial power with my dad, and also talked about the Crown Prince's character and the odds of him ascending the throne smoothly, and so on. Me dad fell silent for a long time after hearing that, only saying, "It is not that I don't know these things. It is just, she. Dad only wants you to live a safe and carefree life. Looking at his graying hair, I couldn't hold back the heartache. He thought he could arrange everything for me, ensuring I'd never have a worry in my life. It was like this in my last life, and it is the same in this one. But Dad relying on others isn't reliable. Not all men in this world treat their wives the way you treat Mom. Even if you find someone you think is reliable to marry me off to now, once you are gone one day, will he really not change? The way things are now, if I succeed, at least I'll have the family to back me up in the future. My dad frowned. Those clan brothers of yours. My dad wasn't too at ease with the people in the clan. Since he only had one daughter and wasn't willing to take a concubine, he'd had plenty of conflicts with the clan. I smiled. Dad, don't worry. The clan brothers I chose are definitely dependable. The emperor favored Jingchu more and more. In just 3 short months, Jingchu's rank was raised 3 times, and he received countless gold, silver, and treasures. It was just that, if you thought about it carefully, every time he was promoted, he was placed in a hollow post. The court officials couldn't figure out what exactly the emperor intended. But the fact that the emperor likes to go to Jingchu's manor whenever he has got nothing better to do certainly can't be faked. The courtiers go whichever way the wind blows, so quite a few of them got on good terms with Jingchu. With all that back and forth, they actually managed to dig up quite a bit about Jingchu's family affairs. 3 months later, as the weather turned freezing, news came out that Suwan was pregnant. The courtiers wanting to kiss ass went to congratulate Jingchu immediately. But unexpectedly, instead of seeing Jingchu smile, they were met with a scowl. Why is this lord and acting so weird? I congratulated him out of kindness, yet he pulled a long face at me. I heard he and his wife are childhood sweethearts and have a deep bond. Surely he wouldn't be unhappy that his wife is pregnant. Come to think of it, Duke Dingguo isn't smiling either. I remember Lord Anne's wife is a daughter of the Duke's household, isn't she? The courtiers were baffled, but soon they learned the inside story, because a piece of news suddenly spread through every street and alley of the capital. Jingchu's wife was cheating, and the child she was carrying wasn't Lord Anne's seed at all. The courtiers were in an uproar, and they also understood Jingchu's previous behavior now. For several days straight, the looks they gave Jingchu were filled with pity. The more this happened, the uglier Jingchu's expression became. Then, on a freezing cold morning on his way to court, he fell off his horse in a daze and broke his leg. I heard it was too dark at the time, and he didn't have his page boy with him. He couldn't get up after falling and waited for about 2 hours before someone finally saved him. He was frozen stiff when they got him out, and he has been running a high fever for several days since getting back. After my father returned, he said indifferently. Lord Anne is even more pitiable after this ordeal. I smiled. Maybe Lord Anne did it on purpose. At least this way, he doesn't have to go to court and face the sympathetic looks from those other officials. My dad narrowed his eyes and looked at me. Speaking of which, who knows if that rumor is true or false? If it is true, why doesn't Lord Anne divorce his wife or make her abort the baby? If it is false, then why doesn't Lord Anne report it to the authorities to find the ones spreading rumors? I knew what he wanted to ask, so I whispered, can't divorce, won't abort, and won't investigate the rumor monger, unless it isn't a rumor, and the adulterer is high-ranking and powerful, making him not dare. I stopped speaking. My dad took a deep breath and quietly drank his tea. There was only one person who could fit this description. The emperor, who had been frequently visiting the inn manor these past few months. That news, did you have someone spread it? I denied it. Although I wanted the Chow family to grow strong, I wasn't stupid enough to let the Chow family's people take action. The current conflict is between the Imperial family and Jingchu. It has nothing to do with our Chow family. I merely used 2 clan brothers to pass some words to the crown prince. That is all. My father didn't speak, rubbing his teacup as he pondered in silence. He is loyal to the emperor. The emperor has treated him pretty well over the years. Although there has been friction between ruler and subject, since he acts as a lone minister, he is actually more favored than the equally powerful Duke Dingwo's family. It is just that the emperor has become muddled these past few years. He is no longer that emperor who was wholeheartedly dedicated to the people, and there are more and more political disagreements with my father. Even so, he never imagined the emperor would do such a thing, stealing forbidden fruit and seizing a subject's wife. My dad thought for a long while, then lowered his eyes. Wait, just wait a bit longer. What my dad had guessed, the court officials could naturally guess as well. The rumors grew even more vicious, and even the common folk in the marketplace started gossiping about the emperor seizing a subject's wife. Some even speculated that there was something fishy about Jingchu falling off his horse, suspecting the emperor wanted Jingchu dead, just so he could bring Madame into the palace. Before the emperor even had time to have the rumors suppressed, old officials from the censorate were already offering remonstrations. It is unclear exactly how those old officials tried to persuade His Majesty. All that is known is that on that day, 6 of them admonished him on pain of death, only to end up infuriating the emperor instead. In the end, 2 of the officials rammed their heads into pillars and died. 3 were injured, and 1 took off his official cap on the spot, declaring his intention to retire and return to his hometown. Afterwards, not only did the emperor show no restraint, he actually flew into a rage right in court, stripping 6 officials of their titles and docking their pay for half a year. Even the families of the 2 deceased old ministers had to make up the money. Inside and outside the court, everyone was instantly too terrified to make a sound. It seemed like everyone had fallen in line. When my dad came back, he spent half the day sighing and groaning, then sat in the study for half the night. Finally, while we were eating breakfast in the morning, he suddenly asked me, "What is the Crown Prince trying to do?" The Crown Prince naturally wants to succeed the throne. The Crown Prince had virtue and talent, and should have smoothly sat securely in the position of Crown Prince. In the previous life, if not for Suwon's obstruction, and the emperor becoming increasingly incompetent, he wouldn't have been suppressed time and again, finally ending with even his son being killed by Suwon. Now, as early as when the emperor bestowed the marriage upon Jingchu and Suwon, and personally said to let Suwon marry with the status of a young lady of the Duke Dingwo's manor, the emperor and empress had already fallen out. A daughter born of a maid who still harbored hatred toward their Duke Dingwo's manor, to actually make them marry her off with the rituals of the head young lady, was a slap in the face to the Duke Dingwo's manor. The Duke Dingwo's manor had been holding back this anger for a long time. Now that this matter has been exposed, it is just right. Not long after, news of snow disasters came from the north, while the south encountered freezing rain. At the same time, nomadic tribes outside the northwest border also came to harass, and there were regions with winter droughts. The country is vast, and every winter there are places that experience natural disasters, but no year has been like this one, with everything squeezed into the same time. Memorials pleading for disaster relief flew like snowflakes onto the court assembly and the emperor's desk. Spreading at the same time were rumors and gossip. Folk rumors claimed that the current emperor lacked virtue, was fatuous and unprincipled, seized his subjects' wives, confused the imperial bloodline, and so on, which was why the heavens sent down divine punishment. As the rumors grew more and more intense, 2 princes holding military power rebelled, sweeping from south to north with irresistible force. The emperor was overwhelmed. While deploying troops and generals, he also ordered people to investigate exactly why the rumors had started. But the court had just sent troops to the northwest, and now the only soldiers and generals available to dispatch against the rebel army were those of the Duke of Dingwo's faction. The emperor had no choice but to turn to the empress for help and show goodwill. And so, Suwon died. Together with the child in her belly, she died on the clamorous street, and the person who hacked her down vanished without a trace in the blink of an eye. Jingchu didn't report it to the officials, nor did he even bring Suwon's remains home. He just casually had the servants wrap up the body and throw it into the mass grave. After that, he claimed illness and took a leave of absence. The soldiers sent out by the Duke of Dingguo failed to hold off the rebels. Instead, they allowed the rebel army to take several more cities. Watching the rebel army getting closer and closer to the capital, the atmosphere in the city became increasingly tense. I inspected the shops under the Qiao family's name and made some preparations. On the way back, I ran into Anjingchu again. Anjingchu looked entirely thin and down and out, but those eyes were much more mature and deep. He gazed at me from below the carriage, his hands hanging slightly, surprisingly, still holding a hint of arrogance. "Shishi, let's talk." Sure enough, he was reborn too. However, talk. I sneered and raised my hand to the side. Grab him. Like hell I want to talk to him. Does he still think I am the Qiao Shishi who was submissive to him in the last life? Several guards immediately popped up from the surroundings, stepped forward, and pinned Anjingchu to the ground in a flash. Anjingchu was caught off guard. He knelt on the ground looking up at me and clamored, "I know you've come back too, Qiao Shishi. You are committing high treason. The snow disaster in the north this year isn't serious at all. The northwest border hasn't been harassed, and the freezing rain in the south is supposed to be next month. It is you. It is you and the Duke Dingguo's manor. Cut out his tongue and feed it to the dogs. He knows a lot, but unfortunately, he doesn't know how to save himself first." It wasn't that he was stupid. It was that he was too confident he could control me, thinking I was the same as in my last life. And Jingchu's words eventually reached the Emperor's ears. I don't know if someone with ulterior motives overheard him shouting that day, or if he had sent word to the Emperor well beforehand. The next day, my home was completely surrounded by the Imperial Guards. The commander of the Imperial Guards held an Imperial decree intending to raid our home and condemn us, just like in my last life. But this time, we weren't helpless and alone. The Imperial Guard had just drawn his sword when a commotion broke out outside. A tall, burly clan uncle of the Qiao family, carrying a large broadsword, chopped his head off. Fresh blood sprayed all over my face, smelling even more foul than in my last life. "Thanks, third uncle. How are things outside?" "Clan uncle. The rebels have entered the city, meeting no resistance, and are heading straight for the palace." I smiled. It worked. The Emperor committed suicide. Before dying, he issued an edict of self-blame and ordered it hung above the capital's city gates to appease the people's anger. Although some old-school courtiers were skeptical about this, the crown prince had already succeeded the throne, and the official story was already set for the public, so no matter how much they fussed, it was to no avail. The new emperor ascended the throne and rewarded people according to their contributions. My dad voluntarily stepped down, but several of my clan brothers from the Qiao family popped up one by one, occupying quite a few vacancies in important civil and military positions. For a time, the Qiao family not only didn't fade away, but was actually in the limelight like never before. After everything was handed over, I took my dad out of the capital and returned to the Qiao family's ancestral lands. Connections in the imperial court needed to be managed, and there had to be an exchange of benefits within the clan as well. Those clansmen have now made a name for themselves and become court officials. Since my dad and I put in a lot of effort behind the scenes, naturally we were going to ask for some benefits. Not long after, the old clan leader stepped down, and my dad became the new clan leader. But there were many people in the clan, each with their own duties. Compared to handling state affairs, my dad had a much more leisurely time. After laying down his burdens, his spirit improved visibly. I was relieved, too. I didn't want his early passing from my past life to repeat itself. After life got back on track, my dad started worrying about my marriage again. He somewhat agreed with what I'd said before now, planning to recruit a live-in son-in-law for me. He didn't care about family background, as long as the man's character and looks were passable. Worst-case scenario, we'd keep the child and get rid of the father. Even so, there were still many candidates. He was picking carefully, and I wasn't in a rush either. Anyway, I have my own entertainment right now. The courtyard I lived in was a bit remote within the clan grounds, with a mountain behind it and a dungeon deep inside. At night, I went to the dungeon. In the pitch-black dungeon, and Jingchu could no longer tell what year it was. He lay collapsed on the straw pile, like a heap of rotting flesh. Hearing footsteps, he stirred slightly, and 2 rats scurried away. Shi, a voice came, weak as a thread carrying a plea. Kill me, I beg you, kill me. Wouldn't that be letting you off too easy? I took the knife handed to me, struggled to find a patch of relatively intact flesh on his body, and stabbed down. Don't you not care about human lives? You dared to gamble with the hundreds of lives in the entire household for Suwon. I thought you had such guts, so why are you so scared now? I am sorry. I was wrong, please. I beg you. I curled my lips. It is useless to beg me. And Jingchu, you owe hundreds of lives, plus the lives of your own son and daughter. How could that be paid off so easily? Just endure it. Your days of suffering aren't over yet. I stood up and ordered, find someone to treat his wounds. Don't let him die. Death by 1,000 cuts, daily bone, eroding pain, only this can do justice to the hundreds of lives that died because of him in the previous life. And my 2 innocent children, end it all, you wish.